What is the most important part of your studio? Um, there's really kind of two very, very important parts, and most people would think that the natural answer would be all the analog chain, all the analog console, the S4. It's not. The most important part, I could take all of this away, right, and still get a great sound because of my monitoring and my room. Now, I could literally sit in this room with a laptop, with the monitoring and in this room and get a great sound. All of this just massively benefits me and allows me to get a better sound. But if I had all this equipment and the S4 and with a pair of, let's say, I don't know, a pair of KRKs up there and sitting in a box room, I wouldn't get as I know 100% I wouldn't get anywhere close to the sound that I'm getting, even with all the lovely analog equipment and everything. It just wouldn't happen, and that's because I firmly believe you are only as good as what you can hear. Because when I'm sitting in this room, when I'm mixing or when I'm mastering in this room, I'm hearing what is essentially ultra high definition audio. I hear everything so perfect that there's no, if there's errors in the mix or if there's errors, I know about it, I hear it. Whereas if I had, a pair of KRKs, for instance, and I'm listening to, and this is not to say that KRKs are bad speakers or anything, they're just kind of like the kind of, there was a time maybe 10 years ago where everyone had KRKs, and there's a lot of people that still have KRKs, but they're not accurate. And, I had a pair of VXTs and they were pretty good, but they weren't accurate. And no matter what room you put them in, you're always mixing a little bass heavy. You were compensating for highs it wasn't accurate. And what I've learned over the years and getting better speakers, better converters, better room, putting a Trinov in, the difference that all these things make is that I know myself, I am only as good as the room I'm in. I've been to multiple other studios. I've got a good mate that I work with every now and then, and I can go round to I can sit in his room, and he's got great speakers and a great room, not Trinov optimized, but I know myself that I feel limited by the monitoring and the room that he's in. So, and then I know when I get back here, I have that pristine audio, and it's I use this example a lot, that it's as if working in a studio, like if you've got a very small studio and there's even like a bedroom or something where there's a bed, there's a cupboard, the acoustics aren't great. It's working on monitors that aren't top line. It's like it very much limits you. It's like me working in this room and putting cotton wool in my ears, for instance. It's very much a case of the most important thing for me is working in a great room with great speakers. That's one of the most important things. The acoustics, the room, the speakers, what you basically hear ultimately is what you make your decisions on. So if for instance, let's say for instance, a great example of this is, now let's say I matched these speakers to the curve to the curve of a room that's not best. Like, it's not a great room, the speakers aren't great. Let's say for argument's sake, I put a big dip in the high end, I put an EQ over these speakers that just basically rolled off the tops, rolled off the bottom, and it was very MIDI. I know that if I'm mixing with that EQ curve over these speakers, I'm boosting the highs too much, I'm boosting the lows too much, I'm not working accurately. So it's a prime example of the difference between working in a room like this in comparison to working in a room that's not it's not 100% accurate. And I spent so much time and so much money on making sure that this room was like literally 100% perfect. And we've had people in to measure and do everything that it needed. And the outcome was that I have this pristine room that is just perfection. And that it that basically translates into the mixing that I do, because where I've got speakers that do not give me any room for error, where I'm Trinov optimized in a great room, it's very hard to make the mistakes because you are hearing everything in full high quality. It's the difference of working, I guess it's the difference of I'm hearing things in high quality in comparison to someone else on a lesser system in a lesser room hearing basically playback of MP3. It's very much that difference. So the one main thing that I would put above all of the lovely analog gear and all of the lovely stuff that you can put into a room, I'd put it well above all of that is your monitoring and your room. If you get that right, like I said at the start of the video, I could sit in this room with a laptop on these speakers and in this room and still get a great sound. The Avid S4 just makes me faster at getting that great sound. The analog equipment just gives me that extra ability to get a, let's say, a more unique sound compared to what you'd get in the box. But ultimately, the room, the speakers, even the interface, Trinov optimization, getting the best playback of audio that is as accurate as possible to your ears is the most important thing above all else when it comes to equipment. Your knowledge and ability is obviously the most important thing, but being able to make the right decisions based on what you can actually hear, it's worth its weight in gold. Spend as much money as you can on getting your speakers right, your room right, and hearing quality audio.